I walk a higher path, son.
Together with this particular film. I do not believe they are sequels. I believe they are just, I guess, enhancing the story, I guess you could say. But I find it quite fascinating that even right in the poster, you see five soldiers making almost a pyramidal shape, and there are five of them, to me, denoting possibly the fifth age that is coming. They almost seem to be even walking on the water. And even right in the poster itself, it's saying, "All hail the king," which is none other than King Kong. So to me now, being awake as many of you are, when you see things like Kong being hailed as the king, you can definitely be assured that they are yet again promoting paganism and the worship of beings and animals and things apart from the true God. So I really wanted to show some obvious connections here with regard to the return of the Nephilim, the offspring of the fallen angels with human women. But there are some connections that are also not obvious, that are more esoteric, that are more, I guess, hidden in plain sight, I guess you could say, and things that I seem to pick up on my own. I'm sure you will see the same things as well and possibly make the same connections. And according to IMDb, this movie is shown to be a team of explorers and soldiers travel to an uncharted island in the Pacific, unaware that they are crossing into the domain of monsters, including the mythical Kong. All right, so basically they are going to come across something that they have just never seen before, and they are basically in for the shock of a lifetime. Let me just show you some screenshots here and show some information from the internet and hope that you will see what I'm trying to say here. But I found this particular shot quite interesting. As you see a group of people, I think this part is from the army. I'm not sure who these people are, but I'm assuming they're all part of the same group, and they're being making, or someone is making a presentation here, and he is showing a mysterious undiscovered island in the South Pacific. This is something that we saw even in the previous King Kong movie in 2005, an island that they discovered or was not on the map or something like that. And to me, is this more land, or is there more land out there that we just haven't been told about, that only the elites know? Sometimes I've been wondering lately that even the map of the world that we have, of course, it's a globe. I do not believe in the globe lie anymore. I believe in the true cosmology of the world according to the Bible. And possibly are we being shown that there could be more land out there? It's funny how this particular island that they're talking about looks like an evil face, which I guess denotes the name Skull Island. But anyways, is it another mysterious island out there or land that we have just not been told about? King Kong movie back in 2005 with Jack Black mentioned this Skull Island in a similar way, that it was an undiscovered, uncharted island. And it's interesting, as we just showed, that the ancient maps of the world possibly said the same thing. And here's just a shot from that movie of 2005, King Kong, as they came to the Skull Island. There were these massive walls that were set up, and they were obviously set up to keep out something massive, which was most likely King Kong and the other crazy creatures that were shown in this movie. There were dinosaurs. You'll recall that King Kong got into a crazy fight with 2 or 3 different T-Rexes and other crazy beings and creatures that were out there over the wall. So yet again, even how the Great Wall, that video we did a little while ago regarding a Matt Damon film, The Great Wall of China, also possibly depicting that the wall was built to keep out creatures other than just man, but crazy Nephilim giant creatures. So is this what we're being shown yet again? So as we keep going, I found this scene quite fascinating, where I believe this is Samuel L. Jackson's head. Really, it's quite a unique head. You can't really, you can really pick it out anywhere. But, here it's showing him coming face to face with King Kong in the midst of chaos and fire and bombs. So is this kind of a cryptic way of showing that humanity is on the brink of chaos, which will usher in the New World Order beast system? And, the Antichrist will appear on the world stage, whether people like it or not. Humanity is going to face the beast itself. And, the beast will bring much destruction and desolations on the earth. After all, that is one of his titles. He is referred to as the abomination that causes desolation, and even human beings and humankind just, going face to face with the beast. This is yet another theme that is being shown in many movies. The one that I can recall was Bryce Dallas Howard's role in the recent film Jurassic World, where you see there is a scene of her facing basically the big monster in that movie. It was a genetically altered, dinosaur that was way bigger than a T-Rex and was basically capable of a lot of destructive power. But of course, she comes face to face with this, and this is something that the human race is going to face one day, because the abomination that causes desolation, depopulation, destruction is going to appear on the world scene very, very soon. He is not going to be a man, or it is not going to be a man. It is going to be a supernatural, basically, I would say, resurrection of Nimrod. It will be the son of Satan himself, the son of the dragon. It will be the abomination that causes desolation. And that is what I believe we are being shown here, that it's going to bring in so much of destruction into the world. And, with another scene in the trailer, you see a massive handprint of blood, which is basically King Kong's handprint. Is this more giant programming for the masses? I believe that this is exactly what Isaiah 13 has prophesied from millennia ago, and this is a passage that we have spoken about many times. I'm going to go to it yet again, right from the Septuagint version. From Isaiah chapter 13, it says, lift up, from verse 2, lift up a standard on the mountain of the plain, exalt the voice of them, beckon with the hand, open the gates. We'll talk about that gates a little later. Ye rulers, I give command, and I bring them. Giants are coming to fulfill my wrath. Rejoicing at the same time and insulting. So the Lord God, this is a prophecy against Babylon, against basically the world, that the sin of man and judgment is coming because of the sin of man, and God is literally going to allow the giants to come back, the return of the Nephilim, the progeny of the fallen angels mixing with humans. All that kind of thing is coming back. This has been prophesied from so long ago, and we are constantly being shown this in the movies. So they are coming to fulfill the wrath of God. There, I believe we are being shown over and over and over again that the Nephilim are coming, that it is an inevitable event that is going to take place. And, is this meaning that all of the abominable and detestable creatures are coming back? I believe that is. If you believe what the Bible says, then I fully believe that this is going to be part of the judgment that comes upon the entire world. Because again, it is said very clearly in Isaiah chapter 13. If you look at the Septuagint version of the Old Testament, it is basically a translation from the Hebrew into the Greek, which was then translated into English. But it is a very, very more literal translation. And as we keep going, I found this scene kind of interesting. You've got lucky number 13 there on the helicopter, which is, if you count these little bird-like paintings or drawings or stickers, whatever you want to call them, on the helicopter, they add up to 13. So to me, this is the Illuminati signature. The illuminated ones know that this day is coming because they completely worship Lucifer, they worship the dragon, they worship the fallen angels, and of course they worship their progeny, the Nephilim. And number 13 is, a big number in the Illuminati. If you go to this particular article that I've shown many times, this is none other than a big Illuminati number. There are 13 members in covens and satanic cults, 12 regular members, and 1 high priest. So this is a mirroring of 12 jurors and 1 judge, 13. There are 13 high occult families that run the world. All right, so that's something you need to remember, that the number 13 is very, very significant to the Illuminati because of the 13 supposed bloodlines that are running this world. So always keep that in mind, because this number 13 appears a lot in many of these movies. And as we keep going, John Goodman says that monsters exist, and he says that as you see this basically circular gateway, and you saw the gateway even in a different scene before this particular scene, to me, could this possibly be CERN symbolism to show that the pit is going to be open very soon? And this number of people that are here, you've got 7 tribal people and 1 American, which is a total number of 8, and we know that 8 is the number of rebirth or new beginning. So really, is it again denoting that the 5th age is about to begin? And what I find quite interesting is that these tribal people on this island look similar to Buddhist monks. And the reason why I thought that is because I am of Sri Lankan descent myself, and Buddhism just happens to be the major religion of Sri Lanka, apart from Hinduism and even Catholicism. But Buddhism dominates Sri Lanka, where I come from. And so what do the red and gold colors mean in Buddhism? They actually have a flag with about 5 or 6 different colors, and they all have meaning. So let's just check out what the meanings of those colors are in Buddhism. And I got this great article here from The Colors of Religion, aka for this particular religion, Buddhism. So the color red symbolizes life force, preservation, fire, and sacred things or places. It also riddled with duality. That's really interesting. We'll keep that in mind as we talk about duality a lot in many videos. But yet again, the red symbolizes fire and duality, because fire can represent warmth and comfort, but can also be a destructive force. So there you go. You've got the duality symbolized in the red. And the yellow is the color that possesses the highest symbolic quality because of the saffron color of the monk's robes. And it goes on to say that it is also a color of the earth. Yellow denotes stability and grounded nature. So really, nature worship, all that kind of thing, Gaia, Mother Earth, that same kind of stuff. So yellow is basically representing Mother Earth worship, nature worship, and red is good old duality, because fire can be a good thing and a bad thing. So keep this duality in mind, because there are still more connections regarding this this Buddhism and these colors and what you're going to see here. So as we keep going, we'll see that they get taken into a temple and told that this image is Kong. So you see this image, it comes together. So, but can you see, what I found interesting is, can you see what these people are doing in the image? They are basically bowing down to this giant gorilla. So they're worshiping him as an idol or as a pagan god. So very much to me, it reminded me of good old Hanuman, the worship, he is worshipped in Hinduism and in Buddhism. So if we look at, there's just a picture of Hanuman. He's always depicted as, the monkey god. He's got the monkey face and the very strong body of a man. So to me, yet again, Nephilim worship, similar to Ganesha, who's got the elephant head and the human body, but again, complete Nephilim stuff going on here. And this article from Encyclopedia Britannica, who explains Hanuman, says that in Hindu mythology, the monkey commander of the monkey army. His exploits are narrated in the great Hindu Sanskrit poem Ramayana. So it says that while still a baby, Hanuman, the child of a nymph by the wind god, tried to fly up and grab the sun, which he mistook for a fruit. Indra, the king of the gods, struck Hanuman with a thunderbolt, so I guess Indra could be the Hindu version of Zeus, on the jaw, thus Hanu, thus inspiring the name. When Hanuman continued to misbehave, powerful sages cursed him to forget his magic powers, such as the ability to fly or to become infinitely large, until he was reminded of them. Hanuman led the monkeys to help Rama, an avatar incarnation of the god Vishnu, to recover Rama's wife Sita from the demon Ravana. All right, so basically we can see that this Hanuman is a trickster, that he's full of mischief. He was struck literally by Zeus or Indra, and he was, trying to get him to forget his powers, his ability to fly and become extremely large. But what I also found interesting about Hanuman, apart from the fact that he's worshipped in many temples, it actually says here, I personally used to only put Hanuman, or associate Hanuman, I should say, with Hinduism. But look at this. Hanuman is also a popular figure among Buddhists. in Central, Southeast, and East Asia. Okay, so Hanuman is a prominent figure in Hinduism as well as in Buddhism. And so, this is being shown, I believe, in this movie, how they are worshiping Hanuman. And even though we got these characters that seemingly are Buddhists or look like Buddhists, you would think that they worship Buddha, but they also worship Hanuman, as shown in this Encyclopedia Britannica article. And, something that we have been shown in other movies, I'm sure you'll recall The Jungle Book, and, King Louis, who was shown to be a very funny character in the original animated film many years ago by Disney, was shown in this recent one as a very dark kind of creature. I found it quite interesting that he resided in something that looked like almost like a Hindu temple or a Buddhist temple. He was very big. He was a very dark kind of creature, and was very forceful. He also commanded a bunch of monkeys as his cronies, just exactly as Hanuman does, as was shown in this article, that he commands his monkeys or his monkey soldiers or whatever you want to call it. So really the same kind of thing is being shown to us. So is it the same thing really as King Kong? So basically Kong is the same kind of thing, controlling this island. He's being hailed as the king of this island. And so to me, we are possibly being shown Hanuman pagan worship going on here. And in the next scene we see these people are getting told that Kong is king around here. So really, again, pagan god worship, Hanuman worship. And interesting that these 5 people form almost a pyramidal shape, go figure, just as we saw in the poster. And again, is this denoting the 5th age that is coming? And what I also found interesting, and talking about some more deeper connections here, it's interesting that the same actor who played Loki in Thor is in this movie as well. He's one of the main characters. And so I started digging into it as to, is there a significance or a connection between Loki and this movie? And lo and behold, there is. As we look more into Loki, you'll remember him, his character in Thor. He was almost even a fun-loving kind of character. Many people fell in love with how this particular actor played Loki, but he had quite the pizzazz and charisma and stuff like that. But if we look at the Norse mythology of Loki, we know that he is a shapeshifter. We know that he is also a wily trickster. Interesting that Hanuman, as we just saw, also is a wily trickster, that he does mischief, he misbehaves. Okay, so same kind of thing here that we're being shown here with Loki. So Loki could be a Norse equivalent of Hanuman, the same kind of thing. He is treated as a nominal member of the gods. Loki occupies a high, ambivalent, and ultimately unique position among the gods, giants, and other kinds of spiritual beings. All right, so again, the giants, King Kong is a giant. Hanuman is also a giant, as it says that he is able to become infinitely large. So again, Loki as well is able to do the same thing. And what I find quite interesting here, as we go down here, it says that in the tales, Loki is portrayed as a scheming coward who cares only for shallow pleasures and self-preservation. He's by turns playful, malicious, and helpful. So he can be malicious, he can be helpful. Remember the duality that we just spoke about as we showed the colors of Buddhism, and how red, the fire, can represent duality. So the same thing we're being shown here with Loki, that he also can signify duality. All right, and that he goes back and forth, that he can be malicious and helpful, that he can be irreverent and nihilistic as well. So can you see the same theme being played here with Loki or with Hanuman, that basically they're a trickster, that they're shapeshifters, or at least Loki can take the shape of anything, that he can also become a giant. And I will leave this article and all the other things that I'm showing in this video for you to look for yourself, that basically he can be a helper, but he can also be a trickster and be malevolent and do things against the other ones that he was helping. So really, this is just the same thing that we're being shown, whether it's about Hanuman, whether it's King Kong, whether it's even Loki. It's no coincidence that the same character who played Loki in the Thor movies is now one of the main characters in this movie, because it all ties together. Always remember that these things are never done by accident, that the Illuminati and the Jesuit Illuminati behind Hollywood, the occultic Satanists, they are doing this all on purpose. They know exactly what they are doing. And as we keep going, we see this scene of one of the soldiers and good old huge massive King Kong as he's just striding through the mountains and the water here, and they get told that Kong's a pretty good king. He pretty much keeps to himself mostly. So Hanuman, or basically a pagan god, is now, being deemed as pretty good and peaceful then, right? So yeah, we can, rely on these gods. They're benevolent, they're kind, they will help us, and they keep to themselves. There's no harm in being in fellowship or being in communion with these pagan gods. No, not at all. But really, society is being programmed to accept paganism as good. So can you see the duality? Just as we spoke of the fire, the red color of Buddhism, it represents duality because fire can be a nice, warm, and comforting thing, but it can also be a destructive thing. We are really being shown that darkness is being made light and light darkness, just as what Isaiah 5 says in chapter 5, verse 20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. This duality is exactly what the devil loves. He is constantly trying to show, light and darkness, good and evil, man and woman, all in the same kind of context, or in the same likeness of being, that light and darkness are the same, but really they are not. We know that even as the Word of God says that God is light, and in Him there is no darkness at all. So light and darkness cannot coexist. All right, it is either one or the other, but the devil wants to keep morphing them into the same thing. That is how he is confusing the masses. And as we keep going, we see that we get told that Kong is God on the island, but the devils live below us. And this is said, nicely said, as we see good old sun god symbolism behind Kong. So really showing him as good old Hanuman. We see the same kind of things when we see Hanuman depictions, the sign of the sun god behind him, the illuminated one. All these same kind of traits we see in many of these artists' renderings of these pagan gods. So, we get told that the devils live below us. So if that's the case, what does that mean that they're coming out soon? If they know that they're below us, is the pit about to open very soon? And sure enough, in the very next scene, surprise, surprise, we get shown the pit. And of course, it's red and smoking. So literally the pit is being shown as about to be opened. Will CERN be the key? I'm sure it could very well be. Many of us know that CERN is right in an area that was known in ancient times as Apaliacum, or basically the gates of hell. So is CERN going to be the key, or the thing, the machine, the apparatus that opens the pit? I'm sure that is going to be the case. And, we keep going in the next scene. Loki asks, I'm going to just call him Loki from now on, because basically that's who he reminds me of. And what are they called? And this is the things that come out of the pit. And he goes, I call them skull crawlers, which you'll see in a little bit. But I don't know about you, but this scene, as you can see the humans walking through this, you can see them right there. There's a line of human beings. Look at how tiny they are compared to these bones, or the remains of what is being shown here in this scene. So, this is totally reminding me of something, which is basically the tons of pictures online of the tons of gigantic bones that have been found all over the earth. And if you don't know what I'm talking about here, I'll give you some little stuff to chew on here. This is a depiction or a rendering of many of the different sizes of bones that have been found. Some up to even as 36 feet have been found all over the earth. You see pictures of this. You can see how small the people are, but look at how huge this skeleton is. You can see another one here. You can see here's another one with a man. There's a regular sized man, and look at how long this thing is. You can see another picture here of how tiny this man is and how big these bones are. So really, these are things that are being found all over the world.